Alright, what's up everyone? It's time for our third idiom lecture, and we're going to focus this time on idioms that are based on colors. There's a lot of them, and they're really common. That's why I want you to know all 10 of the following color-based idioms. First one, you might have heard of a show called Orange is the New Black. Is the new black is a very common expression. You might hear it with all different words before it. What that means is the new cool, is the new fad, is the new trend. And it's an interesting story behind that. Where it comes from is fashion. Apparently black is a very faddish color. Black has always been popular and it continues to be so. So when you're saying sports is the new black, that means sports is the next popular thing, the next big thing. Right now, the cloud, in terms of cloud technology, servers, are the next big thing, really popular thing in the tech industry. So a lot of techies will say the cloud is the new black. Maybe where you're from, English is suddenly very popular and everyone wants to learn English. You might hear people say, English is the new black. So anytime something is newly popular, a fad, a trend, stick it in there before is the new black, and people will know what you mean. Alright, next idiom for you, on a related note, black and white. Ever hear someone say, it's black and white, or it's not black and white? Well, black and white are kind of opposite colors. They contrast well. You know, black makes white stand out and vice versa. So if you refer to two distinct groups of things, you might call one black and one white. So something with two distinct options, such as flipping a coin, say, you know, there are only two options for what happens, of course, with flipping a coin, heads or tails. So that's a black and white situation. Either heads or tails, one or the other. That's black and white. Another situation, if I asked you to write a word down, so you had kind of infinite choices, that's not black and white. And you might say that's not a black and white situation. You often hear people say it's not black and white to emphasize that there are many options beyond simply two. For instance, if I said, I'm looking to move to the city, I think I'm only going to be able to get a cheap, affordable neighborhood or a safe neighborhood. Either a safe neighborhood that's too expensive, or on the other hand, maybe I'll find a cheap neighborhood that's unsafe. You might say, you know, if you know the city, no, you can find places in the middle. You can find places that are pretty safe and actually quite affordable. It's not black and white. You shouldn't look at it as either safe or cheap. There's another way. There are other options. You might be able to have both. It's not black and white. It's more than just two possibilities. Okay, get that? All right, that one's really common, so make sure you understand. Next one. To catch someone red-handed. Now, if I heard someone with a knife or something, and you see blood on my hands, you literally see red on my hands later, then you know that I was the one who committed the crime, and you could turn me into the police. Well, anytime you find evidence of someone's bad conduct on their person, you can think of that as having caught them red-handed. For instance, if you catch me in the act of a crime, or maybe even an act of something silly like stealing candy from your purse or something. If you walk into the room while I'm doing it, you would say, Noah, I caught you red-handed because I'm here and I see you stealing candy out of my purse. Anytime you see someone and direct evidence that they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing, you've caught them red-handed. All right. Next up, this is a really common, longer idiom phrase. The grass is always greener. And actually, it's short for the grass is always greener on the other side. Or if you want to be even longer, grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Now, what the heck does this mean? It means that things always look better from afar. I might be jealous of you and your job because you get paid well and it's an interesting job. But if I were you, I would know that it's stressful because your boss is really hard to work with and some of the people are really upsetting and there's no room for promotions, etc. So from my perspective, you have a great life. From your perspective, not so much. Like if I'm standing in my yard and I'm looking over your fence at your grass looks really green. When I'm actually there looking down, it's not green. It's maybe brown, paling, patches. It looks pretty ugly in person. So do you get it? The grass is always greener. Someone who is always comparing themselves to others might hear from people, you know, the grass is always greener from the other side. I think you have it pretty good. I'm sure you can relate to the concept. The grass is always greener on the other side. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. Things that you don't have look better than things that you do have. Got it? All right. Next one, gray area. Remember earlier we talked about black and white? Well, a rule or a law could be thought of as being black and white. Let's say for taxes, you don't need to pay taxes for something relating to your apartment, but you do need to pay taxes for your workspace if you run a business, your office. But what if you run a home office? What if you work out of your home? Do you need to declare certain things, pay certain taxes for the home office? On the one hand, it's an office, so you probably should. On the other hand, it's a home, so you shouldn't. What's the answer? Well, there may not be an answer, because that may be a gray area. You might be able to get away with not paying taxes. A lawyer might say, well, that's a gray area, so maybe we'll take a risk or maybe we won't. But it's not cut and dry, which is another way of saying it's not obvious. According to the rules, if you were to print out the tax code and read through all the rules, you still wouldn't know. So that's what a gray area is. It's an unclear zone area in any sort of rule or logical framework. Maybe when you learn English, you might hear that certain phrases can sometimes be used with certain people. Some people will understand them, some people won't. Maybe that's a gray area for that expression. So gray area where there's some room for different interpretation. Unclear, not obvious. Get it? All right. Next up is green light. Green light, of course, on a traffic light is how we tell cars that it's safe to drive, that they're good to go, as we say. So anytime you get the green light, or you have the green light, it means that you're good to go. It means that you have permission to go. It means that you are granted the opportunity to go ahead with something. So I might say to you, now that you've learned all these various idioms, you have the green light to use them. My boss might tell me, Noah, the other department gave us the green light to share the document that we've been holding back on pending their review. So if you get the green light, you are good to go. There's no more holding back. Go forward, go ahead. I'm giving you the green light to use that idiom. All right, so green light, get it? Next one's in the dark. In the dark means unclear, don't know. I might say, I'm a little in the dark about how to use a certain expression. Literally, when you're in the dark, you can't see, you're not sure of anything, you're missing information about what's in front of you. So if you're in the dark about something, you are missing information about it. You're experiencing some confusion or lacking information. I'm in the dark about the political situation in Russia, for instance. I'm not reading up on it. I don't have any Russian friends who talk to me about that stuff. So being in the dark, very common expression you can use about yourself more than anyone, to be honest about being in the dark, unclear about something or some area. All right, next up, a couple idioms regarding blue. They're different. One of them is once in a blue moon. Occasionally you look up into the sky and the moon is blue. I can't tell you why, but it happens from time to time. It's not very often. It's not every day or every week or every month. It's rare. So similarly, something happens in a blue moon, once in a blue moon, happens very infrequently. So you might say, I'm late for work once in a blue moon, if you're almost never late for work. Or Jake is late for lunch once in a blue moon. So it's surprising when it happens, because it doesn't happen very often. It's a rare occurrence, once in a blue moon. Something happens once in a blue moon. Okay, the other idiom about blue is out of the blue. Out of the blue means suddenly, without any prediction, without any forewarning. For instance, if this video ended randomly, if I disappeared, then that would have happened out of the blue. The segment would have ended out of the blue, because it wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't tell you it was going to happen. You didn't have any reason to expect it to happen. It happened sort of out of nowhere, out of the blue. Maybe someone broke up with you and you weren't expecting it, so it felt like it happened out of the blue, you might say. Yeah, Emily broke up with me out of the blue. Out of the blue, she brought it up. She wanted to break up. Out of the blue, surprisingly, without any way to predict it. And finally, on a more happy note, roll out the red carpet. Rolling out the red carpet. Let's say you started a job and I was your boss and I brought you food. I introduced you to everyone that you'd be working with. I gave you the best computer that we had in the office. Basically, I did all sorts of nice things for you to help you get acclimated. I made you feel welcome. I made you feel happy to be there. That would be rolling out the red carpet. Literally, in a castle, perhaps, the king would roll out the red carpet for another king. You see this all the time at Hollywood award shows. Before the award show starts, the stars are walking into the venue along a red carpet, and they're interviewed on TV. They call them red carpet interviews, because it's the stars literally walking along a red carpet into the show. But in general, you don't have to have a red carpet you walk around to feel like someone's rolled out the red carpet for you. Anytime you're made to feel welcome, you're given provisions, and maybe you're even made to feel at home. That's having someone roll out the red carpet for you. It's a good feeling. All right, y'all, those are your color idioms. It's amazing how many of these we have. Get some practice with them.